for the zoning board of appeals for the town of Upton, Wednesday, June 21st, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. We are going to postpone the stuff that's ahead of us and go directly to the application for the Garner Grill Sawmill because there are so many people here. Girls, if you want to tell us what you want to do, or
The what? I'm sorry.
What did you?
tell us what you want to do.
Well, we want to stay open. And
Yeah.
No, I mean, you just tell, you know, I know people know, but you want to operate a sawmill there?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we would like to, yes.
Yes.
So, I mean, basically what it is we, Monday through Friday, we don't really work weekends. Well, there's some weekends and it's more just to fill orders in. I gotta get my kids on a bus, so really we don't start till
Yeah.
8:30, 9-ish. But I mean, some days summer, so I mean, we would like to do 7 to 7 if possible. Basically, I don't know what else to say. I mean, we're family owned. It's the
Yeah.
two of us with our kids and family, and it's small. So, I mean, ask questions away. We'd love to answer questions because it's not every day. It's a sawmill.
Yeah.
You know, everyone says sawmill, and you're like, what is that?
We did get 2 letters that are people that are in favor of it. One is Kevin Kennedy and the other one is Catherine Robertson. If anybody wants to read those, we'll set them out on the table. If you are going to speak about this, would you please give your name and we will appoint to you as you are going to speak. Who's the first one that would like to speak on it?
Judge Thompson.
You can write that down. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yes.
What do you want to know?
Are you for or against, what are you?
Well, I'm stuck in the house all day long. My wife won't let me drive, and I don't want to. And during the winter, it was bad, but now the windows are open. It's worse. This last week or two, they've been smart. They haven't been running. Been pretty quiet. But during the winter months, it ran every day, all day long. That's all I heard. And it's not that I begrudge them. It's just that I don't like. If I worked all day, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't be there. But
Now, I did go down there as a member of the Board of Health on a noise permit. And while I was there for at least an hour, I determined myself that the noise wasn't any more than somebody using a commercial lawnmower to cut people's grass.
that stops. You mow the lawn, takes an hour, it's gone.
Right.
You hear somebody mowing the grass. I had 2 places to put dogs, either there or another place. I picked out when the other was a lot of traffic goes by, but it's just cars going by. It isn't something that's running steady all day long. I don't begrudge somebody you having a business. Don't get me wrong. It's just, I just wish I didn't have to listen to it.
Now, I have a question for you. And of all the businesses that you ran in town, including the repair shop, you never ran a business that had noise that affected any neighbors or they could hear it?
You know, because all our work was inside the garage, it wasn't outside. You know, and we didn't work at night. Very rarely anybody was in the garage at night. And it was the trucks going in and out, but that's it.
Okay. Who wants to speak next? Do we have your name?
Anna Whitman. I live at 152, right behind them. And this week I didn't hear anything. I only heard like mom, like that's mowing them up. And I was like, wow, that's good. But like when I bought the house, I moved in here like 2021, was super quiet and I love it. And they started doing their business. It does affect me. My husband, he works overnight, so he cannot sleep with the noise, constant noise. And we are worried about traffic-wise, more traffic. If you guys gonna be operating 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., he gets at home at 8 a.m. and he tries to sleep until 6 because he works overnight. So that's gonna affect him. And I'm sorry, I'm totally against it. Like,
Chairman, I'd also I have also visited the site several times and
For a commercial and industrial business, they're running one single sawmill with one engine on something.
It's a Kohler,
Big Kohler.
38 horse gas.
You know, and I'm just, for what I've experienced, it wasn't very loud at all. Now, is it silent? No, but it's zoned commercial and industrial. That is the zoning down there.
Yeah, but how many more are they gonna put in when they open? Just one?
No, that's it.
There's only two of
It's
them.
only me and her.
It's only us.
And the
Everything
traffic,
else.
there's no more traffic. Like we've been there for a while. Almost a year we've been there.
To me, is it an appropriate location for this sort of business? Well, actually, that is exactly where you want a commercial and industrial area. That's what the zone for, so it's one of the machine.
You know, it goes back to our grandfathers, when they, the only reason why that's business is that shop was there. It was another place across the street, otherwise it wouldn't, it's been there for years. And the only thing they ever put in there was cows. They moved the cows in.
That's true, but the zoning is.
If our town fathers would have done the right thing when they closed up the other, they didn't take that off.
The whole,
Also a different time.
the whole strip along the railroad, and it gives you a sense of the importance of railroad at the time that they thought about these things. In most towns,
That's because the head shop was there. And,
but it still is zoned
oh, I know.
commercial industrial.
I'm
That-
glad.
That's what we have to make our decision based on.
And if the guys are doing their job, that we building the office, they wouldn't come in.
We're not, this is the least political.
They could have changed it, but it's.
I don't want politics, no. I don't like politics, it's not my thing.
What's your name, please?
Marie
Here we
Kitchen,
go, good, it's working.
and I live at 7 Mechanic Street, so I'm kind of across the way from their business, and it's not that loud. I hear it during the day. I'm outside because I'm trying to put together a flower farm myself. And it's not that loud. I mean, it's a sawmill, and I'm for them having a business, and especially a lady or a women-owned business. I think Upton should support women-owned business in Upton, period. We've moved here 3 years ago, and I'm seeing too many businesses leaving. We need good businesses, and I've been over there. I've asked questions as a citizen, as a resident, that's around the corner. I'm in favor. They're considerate, they listen, they're a good business. I think we need them in Upton.
Johnny?
Yeah, I'm a resident. I'm John Johnson, 44 Hartford Ave North. As a taxpayer in town, I support small businesses. We only have a few small businesses in town, and we need to support these guys, these guys and girls that open up these businesses. We need to support them. That's why we're here tonight, is that, to support these people. They're making a little bit of noise over there. It's zoned properly over there, and that's why we're here tonight. To not whether you like it or don't like it, it's how is it zoned and how is it impacting your life? Is it that bad? I don't think so.
Yeah, we should.
Okay, tell your name.
My name's Carolyn Dixon. I live at 10 Glen Ave. The sawmill is directly behind my house, directly behind it. And the noise is unbearable, absolutely unbearable, because I live right there and it's right there. You are so close to me. I can tell you what you wear every day all winter long because I watched it. The chainsaws are going. I don't know if you put a study with all the equipment that goes on there. It isn't just that. It's the chainsaws. It's the front end loader that rides back and forth and back and forth. And that's going on all day. Now, granted, if I was not home all day, it wouldn't be so bad, but I am home and I retired and that's where I live. And for 73 years, this is my family home. For 73 years, I've lived there. And like George said, the most I ever saw was like a couple of cows. I do know it's zoned for that, but it was also conservation land. So you never had anything there. when I inherited my home, the biggest thing was, do I want to stay there? I could have sold that house. If I had ever known that this was going to happen, I would have sold the house and I wouldn't have stayed there. In the wintertime, like I said, the windows were closed and you could hear it all the time. I had to leave the house. And then in the summertime, I knew once the windows go up, same kind of, it's just, I don't stay there. I leave because I can't stay in my house. And if this does go through, I mean, and don't misunderstand, I'm for business too. My husband's a businessman, you know, in this town. And the difference kind of is that my husband's business can be noisy, like you asked about. However, his business was there for 40 years. So people who went there knew this is a business that makes noise. I've lived there, like I said, for 73 years, and I never heard anything there. It's always been quiet, very quiet. And if this does go through, I cannot live there. I can't live there.
Chairman, if I can ask a question, just remembering your dad's place over in Hopkinton way back when. The main mill had a building that had walls on like two sides, and one side was open for the log scoop.
Yes.
And I know you guys are new and it's a different setup, but that mill that you have, the blade moves, not the log.
Yeah.
Is, long term, is there any way that you could put similar type building as to what your folks had?
Yes.
Yeah.
Noise buffer, you're saying?
So
Kind of.
if you put a back wall on it.
Yeah.
It would help.
Mhm.
And I think the original.
Back up, it's a back
I think it needs to-
Yes, so it was the roof and then the front was open so you could get the lawns on and then the back.
Yeah.
So, yes,
The
yeah,
quad was when the sawdust would go up.
yes, yeah.
Is, now knowing that you guys can make your own wood, is that something that's possible?
Yes, so our landlord also mentioned about a fence too as well. He wants to put up a buffer,
Yeah,
like a 3-foot berm and a fence or something too, so. We're also gonna end up moving the mill as well,
But
so we're gonna move it further away from Flint.
yeah, I thought.
For the conservation.
Yeah, the
Conservation also to
Yeah.
keep that
Yeah.
barrier.
So it'll be much further from there.
Okay.
So the other issue is, we can't have a permanent structure on that property. It's in part of the floodplain.
Yeah.
So we can't put a permanent, we can only put
Temporary.
temporary. So that's why we
The
got a
fence.
storm portable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because we can't have
Put
anything.
big wheels under something.
right.
I didn't realize that, so thank you.
So if I can get blocks, we
Yeah.
can block it, put like, you see these big block walls, cement block,
Yeah.
the 3x3x2s.
Yeah.
We could do something
I
like,
just trying to do something cheap for you guys. I knew something you guys.
So- we don't want to do it and have them complain, well, now they got a brick wall.
Yeah.
Is it safe, know what I mean, all the
You
backlash on
you
it.
ever seen like on the side of the house, okay, how they'll make like a 10-foot wall?
Yeah,
Yes,
They
that's
actually-
what I was thinking as
Yeah.
well, the sound barrier.
A sound
Yeah.
I
barrier.
have no idea how much they cost.
I don't want to have to do anything that's gonna cost you $1 million.
Yeah.
But what if like right behind the saw itself, could you have a, I don't know, whether it be a T-base,
Yeah,
just a sound wall, and it would reflect it away from the neighbors a little bit.
Yeah.
so
Good build.
in the plans, we want to put speed cramps.
yeah.
We want to
Yes,
block it with speed.
Through the chair, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can we just, can I suggest to the board that we just have everybody, get their comments in first, and then we can want to have our discussion with the applicant? I think that's a better way to approach. I don't think Carolyn was all done.
So, like I said, that was another concern of mine in that because I knew it was conservation land, I'm just wondering, I mean, did you get a permit already for this? I mean, have you had a permit or did you just put the business there?
When was it conservation land? Because we're talking
Yeah.
to Mary, she just said we had to stay away from the 200-foot.
River, yeah.
Or we could go for a special variance and do the 100-foot.
Yeah.
But there was nothing saying that was conservation land.
Yeah, never.
Well, anything near the river.
We weren't informed it was conservation and talking to Mary, it's part of conservation, never said anything.
So we measured it out. We're with,
Yeah,
we are
You're working with conservation.
We're working with country,
Yeah, Mary's already done a site walk and everything, so,
we've done it 4 times.
yeah.
And did you have an actual official, sound?
Yes, we have, and we're below
By
the
who?
decibels.
Who did it?
The town did it.
Who from the town? Oh, you did the sound?
No, I went down and listened,
You
and
listened?
Bill did too, and I listened I was there for over an hour. And like I said, the noise to me, at that time, the mill was running. But the noise of the mill running to me was no more noisier than somebody riding on a commercial lawnmower or a landscaping outfit. That's about the same amount of noise that it was.
Yeah, but what about the chainsaws?
Well,
That's a lot louder.
They're not the only ones.
yeah, but they're not cutting wood constantly. I mean,
Oh,
wood
at
comes
least every
in.
day.
Yeah.
What about the people
Wow.
that work from home right next to it? Same.
Are you?
Well, and what I'm saying is that really isn't the right spot. I mean, I don't know if you could even move it across the field. Instead of right behind my house. I mean, that would be somewhat helpful. But I've been here a long time too. I know that you've been from this town, but my grandparents have been here since 1909. So I am, a member of the town. I love the town like you love the town. But I really cannot live there. I really cannot. I will have to move if this has to stay there because I cannot be outside at all. And the thing is that that's the only part of my area that I can go out and sit is in the backyard. I can't sit in the front yard because my house is right on the road. So, and like I said, I could watch it all winter. You were right there. That's how close you are to my house. So when you have all those things and the load, the front end loaders, driving back and forth and trucks coming in with the logs and loading, unloading that. I mean, it's a daily thing. So, this isn't going to be a win-win thing. It's only going to be a win thing for somebody. And if it is for you, I wish you all the best. But I am telling you that my lifestyle, because of this, has been changed. If I had another alternative, that would be fine too. I'm retired. So all my money went into this house and into the land and everything around it. So I put everything in. So I have nothing left but that house. And now the thing is, if I want to sell that house, I can't sell the house because who's going to buy a house with a sawmill behind it? You decrease the value of my home. So I just want you to know that that's how it has affected me. And I'm a taxpayer too, and have been a taxpayer for a long time. My family has been too. So it's not like I came and infringed on you. If I had known you, if you were there when I had the house, I wouldn't have moved there. But it's like you came, didn't even ask any of us in the neighborhood. It would have been nice if we had a meeting beforehand before it came. Usually
They didn't
businesses
have
have to
technically,
start
yeah.
that.
That's not standard
No,
practice.
they didn't have. I mean, the commercial, so,
But
well, it would- might have been good, but-
No.
Don't own it, you don't control it.
so I don't want to shut you up.
No, that's fine. That's
Okay.
fine.
All right, wait, just wait. Is there anybody else that hasn't talked?
Yeah,
I just had a question.
No, sorry, wait.
My name's Henry Steenstra. I just moved to town fairly recently. We actually live on 5 Glen Ave, right across the street from you guys. I'm all about wood. I love making stuff with wood myself, as hobbies and stuff like that. But, the chainsaws, the 2-strokes are just ridiculous. I mean, I get that's part of the industry and stuff like that, but being so close in a residential area, especially with, so many neighbors, I've spoken with plenty of the neighbors in the area that, aren't going to show up just because, they don't want to be a bother to somebody, so I'm not saying that I'm speaking on their behalf, but I'm speaking as the truth from pretty much everybody in the area. And basically, it's loud. It's loud as hell. Granted, do I do some stuff around my yard? Absolutely. Do I mow my lawn? absolutely. But that's only a temporary noise that, everybody's gonna mow their lawn at some point. So, that's a very temporary noise. My girlfriend here, she works from home and, she's on meetings all day, she's constantly on meetings and, to have to run our AC all day to drown out the sound of you guys' mill or, what you guys are doing over there is, a little ridiculous, especially, we have a child, we're trying to grow our family and stuff, I completely sympathize with, I want you guys to be out of Upton, but the location is just so, it's beyond not optimal. You're surrounded by pretty much nothing but residents, to basically go in there and to just drown everybody out because you guys want to make money, well, let's find a different place for you. You guys said that you're renting the place or leasing the place, whatever, contract that you're in. It's someplace, maybe in more of an industrial area where it's not just normal businesses. I'm just trying to come up with a little something, but basically when that comes down to,
It is.
I'm sorry, I was talking at the moment.
Yeah, you were.
Industrial property though. It's industrial. All right, wait, industrial property.
Right.
Everybody go speak at their own.
So what I'm trying to say is that, if you're going to be running it all day long, hearing even the landscapers, okay, I get it, but they're in and out, this isn't a constant all day drone, you guys, they're there maybe once a week or something like that. So, if you guys are rocking and rolling all day long, nobody wants to listen to that. And if you guys are running it, you want to run it from 7 to 7. Well, there's some days where, I work really late, I do multiple different, I run multiple different businesses myself. And, my schedule's all over the place. And to constantly hear that is just, we wouldn't have moved to the area if that was going to be the thing, we pay our taxes just as everybody else does. And, basically what we're trying to say is, we're all for you guys, I'd love to come even purchase stuff from you guys, but that location is just so residential and you're just surrounded by residents and it's just going to, you're just ticking off everybody in the neighborhood with that noise. And, I get that, you're trying to make a living, 100% understand that, appreciate that, all for that. But there's, a bit of a moral thing involved as well with this is, is it worth it to you to make money in that one spot? You're so dead set on that one spot instead of moving it to a different location that is more accommodating to the type of industry that you're in. I would 100% absolutely, if I can help you do that, I would very much like to help you do that. But as I'm just going to get back to it, that area I don't think is suitable for, that type of, I would call it manufacturing. I get it is zoned for business and it's a commercial piece of property, but, think of the neighbors. We all live in this area. This is our home. We're trying to raise our families here, maybe grandkids come over and stuff like that. And, not everybody has your schedule. And to just constantly hear that is, to me, it's maddening. So, I'm just as a neighbor or one of your fellow, townsmen here, just kind of saying, trying to reach you on a personal level. You wouldn't think very highly if somebody was, sitting out there with their 68 Camaro cammed out, just redlining it out in front of your house all day long. That's pretty much how it sounds to a lot of us, and especially in the wintertime, leaves. It doesn't really do anything for it, for the noise of it. Even if you put up a fence, that's going to do a lot for it. I'm an engineer. I understand acoustics very well. I get, there are people who, use tools to measure that sound, but as all research is and, all testing is, it's still all flawed. And the thing that's not flawed is my ear and everybody else's ear that lives in our neighborhood. So, I'm just trying to come out and say that, our family wouldn't appreciate you guys there. And I'm sure that, if we came right next to your house and I started up a, machining facility next to you, and was rocking and rolling all day long, I can make those machines sing. And, that's just, that to me is, I would show I would show a little bit of respect for the people in the neighborhood. That's how I act. And, I do like to see people act similarly, having respect for other people, not interrupting and stuff like that, as well as, not droning out everybody who's within, tenth of a mile of your facility. Thank you. Appreciate you hearing me.
All right, is there anybody else that hasn't spoken? Okay, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Paul Bykowski. I live at 160 Main Street. I see the girls close up because they're right in my backyard. I have no trees. I have no obstructions. I have a clear shot, wide open area right to them, and I don't have an issue with it whatsoever. My wife is home all day, every day, and he doesn't even know that they're there most of the time, even with our windows open. I leave early, I get home early, and when they're there, I can see the loader moving around, but they're pretty, aware what they're doing, and most of the time it's almost at an idle. They're not preventing, they're not cruising back and forth, see them all the time. I can watch what they're doing, and I really don't have an issue with it. And if they're gonna move the sawmill, so be it, to help other neighbors out and whatnot. I do think that it will work with some sort of, noise reduction type thing. And I understand it has to be portable to get to move it, and that's, whatever, it is what it is. But I don't, nor have I had an issue ever with that. I can pull in and out. It's a common driveway for 162, 160, 158, 156. And if they're going back and forth, they stop, they let the neighbors go do their thing, and never been an issue. So I support the 100%.
Jessica DeVirgin. I live at 156A Main Street, and the Garden Girls are also like in my backyard, and I've never had a problem. I don't even know how long you guys have been there. I was doing my dishes one day when I actually physically saw them and was like, oh, is there something going on back there? But I've never been bothered by them at all. What does bother me, and I do hear all the time, is Main Street with the trucks and the cars going up and down Main Street, super loud, but not these girls at all.
Anybody else that hasn't speak?
Good question at the end.
Go ahead.
So this is an honest to goodness question. We have a lot of history in this room, I'll say. Didn't it used to be a sawmill? That location?
Yes. No, there were sawmills back from the 1700s, all along Warren Brook.
That's go. Okay.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, so
Yeah.
the town is not new to sawmills, but there hasn't been any for a while.
Okay.
But,
So,
it's not a new industry. It's just that nobody has done it. And most of your lumber comes from either down south or out west, so, but,
Teddy, she wants
Yeah,
to
no,
talk, I'll talk after.
go ahead.
I've lived on Glen Avenue. I'm 17. And you don't know how many times recently, with all the trucks going in and out of there, I'll get up out of the chair and I'll say, what trailer truck's backing up in my yard?
Right.
And that's all we hear all day long. And I've lived there since I was born.
Tommy?
So I hate coming to these things. Tommy Thompson once told me whenever he comes to these, he loses business. So, Ralph and Jordan Thompson. I own 162 Main Street. I rented to a couple of ladies. They have a family there. I texted them while I'm sitting here. And I said, do you guys have any issue with the noise coming from the sawmill out back? They said no. And I explained I was here for a meeting for the town and all that. She said, there's a little bit of noise we hear, but there's no problem. Doesn't bother us at all. It's during the day. Not a nuisance whatsoever. Just like the people at 160, 156, I guess. It's right on the road, common driveway, like they said. I don't live there, but I asked the girls that do, and that's what they said.
Yeah, I know where your house.
So
Main Street, not one.
Good.
But these girls were talking about back. Nobody hears it past the watershed down there in Glen Avenue. You don't hear it. If they put a fence up, that would be great. That would take a lot of the noise away. You know, I don't think much people working and having a business. We did have a sawmill up on Pleasant Street for years until they sold it. But that was it from the time I was a kid till I was growing up. And, but that's the only sawmill I know that was in the town. But the fence, it's the ones on the Glen Avenue that noise comes right over.
Yeah.
But some reason, fence maybe would be a solution.
Henry, 58 mechanic. I am far from it to hear anything from it, and I can sympathize that there are people that are hearing things. There are also people who obviously aren't hearing much of anything. So it seems like there's a solution to curb that sound. If some people in some direction aren't hearing it, other people are, then I think some sort of buffer will maybe solve this. And they're also talking about relocating where the sawmill itself is anyway. So I love I have a small business. I love that Upton is a small business kind of town. I'd love to see more of it. So I'd love to see them progress.
Elaine Christensen, 3 Brookside Street. And as a woman and somebody who also runs a small business, and I live next to the sand pits, and I have to listen to trucks and trailers and the banging every single time that one of those trucks goes in there. And after a while, and that doesn't, then you have the motorcycles and everything else that goes in there now. But as a woman who, you know, and I work in wood, I have a small farm, and I have been buying wood from these girls for 30 years. And at the cost of wood, if you go to a bigger store, you know, it's tripled in the last year. And I don't know, I understand it probably is noisy for some people, but I have to myself, I just like kind of block out the noise. But and my other question is, you know, if they move out, who else is gonna move in? Are they gonna be just as noisy? Are they gonna turn around and ask all the neighbors or not? Just sometimes you get rid of something and you end up with something else because it's commercially zoned. And that's just a thought I want to put out there, and that I do support the girls, and I always have. And I'm so glad that they're around, that I can buy my wood from them for my farm, because other than that, I can't even, you know, I wouldn't even be able to afford it.
Anyone else that hasn't spoken? Anybody on the boat? Oh, go ahead.
Christy McAvoy, I live at 21 Glen Ave. Welcome to the Garner Girls. I know it's a mixed bag about what's going on. Carolyn's my neighbor, known her for 23 years. She's a great neighbor, takes care of her homes, as they're the Thompsons. Question I have, I know it's a mixed bag, but consistency in the rules. If they're in a floodplain and the Conservation Commission hasn't given a permit, why is that allowed to happen? That's just what I'm asking. Our neighbors had sheep and horses that weren't allowed to be there. So how is that consistent is my only concern. One of my concerns, just one, yeah, thank you.
I can answer that.
Yeah, just because-
So we're within the buffer. We gotta be 200 feet from the brook. The sheep and animals are right on the brook, and that is your watershed.
Okay.
That's your well for the town. That's why you put it in here.
Thank you. It's like, I'm just, you know, obviously, I know people are upset by the noise and whatnot. I thought the sheep were a lot more pleasant.
Yes, no.
Than
So they contaminate the well. That's what the town well. So what we bring in, we take out. Nothing stays.
You don't use oil.
We don't use oil to cut anything. We don't store fuel. We don't store oil. We bring oil in. It leaves with us at the end of the day, comes in the morning. Fuel, same thing. Fire department was down. Fuel storage, we don't have them. 5-gallon cans in the back of the truck. Fuel spill, 5 gallons. That's all you get. You know what I mean? We're within the DEP regulation of 50 gallon spill. So we can clean ourselves if there is ever a spill.
Just have a question, if you don't mind. Sorry to interrupt you. if you're constantly having to lug stuff though, isn't that cost you more money as a business? Is there not a more appropriate place that you guys wouldn't have to continue to lug, that you'd be able to, store your fuels and all that stuff? And
No, it wouldn't, because then you worry about theft, liability. Then we need special permits to store fuel, store oil.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Containment.
I used to own a gun shop in Bellingham, so
The brook.
aware
Brook,
of that.
we're too close to the brook to have fuel storage.
Well, so at that location, what about a different location in town? Because there's plenty of other locations that are in an industrial area.
For us. We need log storage, so we need the footprint. So that's why we put 20-year lease on this property.
And there's no other place in town.
We've been around town.
There's no other place in town like it.
We've already been industrial park. We run out of space. So
One,
Well, Chairman,
We
we
bring-
keep it through you.
yeah, one problem with the town is that technically there is not enough commercial, industrial, or business zone property.
Very small area.
It is, I mean, some of the houses that are on Main Street
commercial.
are in the business zone, so technically, there's a house that was just sold, and somebody could have tore it down and put a McDonald's there.
Yep.
Under the rules of the town.
Right in front of us.
So, it's whatever it is. Now, one other thing I want to say quickly is, I've been on the board a lot, quite a long time. And back about maybe 10 years ago, somebody wanted to do heavy equipment repair on that property. And they wanted to repair excavators and backhoes and everything else. Well, yeah, and that never happened, but, somewhere along the line, something's gonna go in there. And it may not meet the requirements that everybody wants, but something's gonna go in.
Yeah.
And it's like the deal when you say, oh, my boss is leaving, I'm glad he's leaving. When the new boss comes, he's worse. So the same thing could happen here, that you get rid of something that you don't like, and what comes in can be worse.
Yeah.
But, all right, so,
I have a question. Are you ready for a motion?
nobody on the board has any questions, right?
I did have one question. Did you just say you have a 20-year lease with them?
Yep.
So you'll be there for 20 years?
Yes, unless someone buys, unless someone buys the lease out. Yes.
Buys the lease, so.
Someone would have to buy our lease out.
20, well, I'm sorry.
That property's, zone commercial
Right.
and,
Industrial.
business industrial.
Yeah.
When did it become commercial industrial?
Long time.
If you bought a house in this town,
Yeah.
you would be aware of what
Right.
is done.
That was one of the parcels that has been that way a long time.
Yeah.
Some of the other ones have been changed to general business.
Right, yeah, but that one's been that, yes, okay, so if you purchased a house in town, you would know, looking at the zoning map,
Right.
that,
Okay.
Question, I had been there and I talked to your wife about possibly moving it up further.
We wanna move it
I'm
up.
gonna put this
Our plan is to move it up top. We wanna surround it by sea crates and put a roof. So everything's mobile is our plan.
Right, but I mean, when I talked to them about moving it up further behind the houses on Main Street.
Yep.
To get away from
Down
the
there.
closeness of Glen.
Yep.
Now, is that something that you had thought about, or?
Yep, we're in the process of doing it.
Now, how far would you be moving up?
Probably 300 feet.
Football field.
A football field.
Yeah.
We're gonna base it in the middle of the property.
And you said the hours are approximately 7 to 7?
They start at 9:30.
Yeah.
I say 7 to 7, because I'm a diesel mechanic.
Yeah.
So I'm in and out. I own the trucks and trailers that go in and out.
Yeah.
They're pickup trucks. There's hardly ever any big trucks. The only time a big truck comes in is when we redeck it. That's it. Other than that, it's in my dump truck, my dump trailers.
I see.
I would not be in favor of the 7 to 7. I might be in favor of 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, whatever, I'm just putting that up.
I think that's reasonable.
I just say 7 to 7. That way there I can go in and get my trailers in and out so I can go get
Well,
logs.
can we say the sawmill?
Right,
The fire-
operation of the mill.
No time.
It's not setting the same.
I just don't wanna be stuck where I can't
No.
take the truck 5 in the morning,
Completely
you know what I mean?
Summer trucking, which is around the corner from me, they do gasoline, so they truck it at.
I'm there,
3
be
in
a
the morning.
mechanic
Yeah,
for 7
Yeah,
years.
what he does.
Yeah, they leave really early.
Yeah. I'm on call 24 hours a day.
So are you ready for a motion, sir?
We have another question.
May I ask a question? I don't think that I heard, this topic touched upon. What other, like down the road, because you guys have a 20-year lease, so you're obviously, going to expand this. If it goes through, what type of additional machinery are you thinking about putting in on this
It would
property?
just be a planer, which is electric.
Yeah.
It would be no louder than the mill.
Yeah, all right.
That would be it.
Well,
That's it.
yeah. I'm gonna have to look at this. I don't know.
I mean, you're more than welcome to come down and see.
Yeah, no,
anytime.
no, I've watched you guys, because
Yeah.
I'm right there, and,
And it's
I'm not.
just us two.
Yeah,
Me and her.
So you have zero, yeah. I I'll be honest with you, like, most businesses, I don't trust anybody at their word, is saying that I'm not gonna expand. I know as a business owner, and I've owned a few businesses over my lifetime, that my business doesn't stay stagnant. I mean, it doesn't stay the same size, and nobody in business stays the same size. Because if you don't continue to grow, you're just gonna be shooting yourself in the foot. So my concern is one, it is wicked noisy. I know everybody does. You guys like doing what you're doing, which, I like what you're doing. I just don't like where you. It's truly bad.
We definitely understand that, but trying to find somewhere to
It
go.
was
There's-
really hard.
So
You have
hard.
no idea.
We don't make millions and millions.
Yeah.
I mean, we make.
Our trucks are 20 years.
So rent for us or leases, it's one of those things. I mean, we can't be spending thousands and thousands a month.
Absolutely.
Because we don't make that in product, and we're a small local. We're not nationwide, we're not Home Depot. We're Home Depot.
Oh, no, I know.
We have Home Depot.
I'm right there with you. I personally like purchasing my lumber from sawmills.
So we have kids, so we're not down there all the
Yeah.
time. I have my youngest here, my oldest is out. But I mean, we have a farm at the house too. So when, we're not constantly, the last couple of weeks it's been slow, but we've been running around like crazy because we have the animals at the house and getting hay and all that. So there was a lot. Some days you're not going to hear us at all.
So.
And then other days you are going to hear us because we have to put out an order. So if someone comes down with orders, we pop that out as quick as we can.
I've been watching it, and like I had said a little while ago, you guys have your little, peace and quiet, your little sanctuary at home,
No.
We have our sanctuaries at home, some people are unbothered by it, but, there are quite a few people that it does really, really change our lives. It truly changes our lives, and we do not benefit from it by any means. It's just a detraction from our lives. And it's not just my household, it's many other households on our road. Some people, it doesn't bother, and, we all are on board for, local businesses. It's just where it is, for whatever reason, somebody back in the day decided, let's make this commercial property, bonehead, but, in my opinion, but
I understand, yeah.
so, just try to think of that a little bit, because, you really wouldn't appreciate it if your neighbors are, getting crazy, just super loud all the damn time. Maybe you guys like to get crazy. I don't know.
Again, I totally understand, yes.
One last.
Oh, thank you. Chad Kitchener, just a question, and please forgive my naive question. I think I've heard that the two-stroke engines bother people, and then some people are in a place where they don't hear it much at all. What I'm wondering is there any specific way, I mean, can you use, they're probably terrible, an electric chainsaw? Is there anything else that you can do to put a shield around the, okay, so, but you can, maybe I liked your idea about the 300 feet away, because you guys might know that sound drops off with the square of distance, and 300 feet is a a football field. So that could really help.
So the person that wants to buy out our lease is a company that wants to come crush gravel, concrete,
gosh.
and bring in material.
They wouldn't be able to do that there. There's no rules. There's not.
Anyway, thank you. Thank you. Okay.
All right, one last thing.
Thank you, Mr.
Native lumber has a very limited use. You can't use it to build houses in Massachusetts, but it can be built for use for barns and everything else. So it's not like, they said, it's not like a Home Depot. So some days they'll be busy, some days they won't be as busy. All right, guys, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, are you ready for a motion?
Yep.
Well, it's the only district in town it can be located in. There's no other area where it's allowed, and it's the only place where they can do this. So I'm gonna move that we approve the application for a special permit conditioned on the hours of operation for the sawmill being limited to 9 to 5.
What about a fence?
Yeah, what about a fence? Or what about some special provision for a barn that they could put it in? Because you guys are willing to, make different rulings on like the distance from the stream. Why not let them?
All right, where's the-
How is that?
What are you?
How is that not in the
what are you willing to
jurisdiction? though?
do
This is a town meeting.
To,
Talking about that.
even though you're gonna move it, are you willing to put up like a lean-to type thing?
We can put a lean-to up.
Now, if you're moving that far away from Glen, I don't think that the fence would help. Because it's gonna be too far away.
Yeah.
Alright, so you wanna,
Even in that, the decimals on that machine, the loader, the mill are under 90 decibels.
Like
On the mill,
directly
on
at
the
it.
mill.
So
So there's no way they're 90 or above at the
So
house.
200 feet away, that'd be about.
It's not about the decibels. It's the fact that you can just constantly
Sir,
hear.
at some point, it's a public meeting.
Yeah.
At some point. the-
Oh, you've interrupted quite a few people today.
Because I'm a board member.
That doesn't give you any right. And when somebody else is speaking, that's just rude.
alright, guys, that's it. We're gonna take a vote. And then,
Can I second it, but at a condition that
Sure.
some form of, what did you call it? Lean-to?
Yeah, lean-to.
Yeah.
So we're gonna take
Some form of building portable, at least whatever.
It has to be.
Something that helps us build the sound, be constructed within, let's say. Is that a reasonable timeline before winter? Okay. Is that an amendment? Is that an addition? Okay. So seconds moved and seconds.
alright, I will make it unanimous for the board.
Hold on, point of order. Can you, Eric, would you mind withdrawing your motion so we can close the public hearing
Oh, okay.
and then make the motion on the application?
Yeah, I'll withdraw.
Make a motion. Let's vote.
Okay, so the hearing's closed.
All right. So I move that we approve the application for a special permit, as requested, conditioned on hours of operation, so being limited to 9 to 5. And that a lean-to or some sort of acoustic barrier be constructed before the winter.
Absolutely.
Second motion,
Unanimous vote of the board. Ted Briggs up.
Eric Russell, aye. Bill Andrews, aye.
Now, there's a 20-day appeal period before this, actually, even though they're operating, before it becomes a legal thing.
So isn't that illegal?
That's your, if you want to appeal it, that's your choice. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Where can I find the appeal process?
You can email me. I don't have my cards with me. You can.
Write it down.
Sorry, close to.
What's your name?
If I could grab yours as well.
Oh, said if you got it right now. Yeah. I don't touch anything.
You can find me.
Sorry. Should all you guys take?
Yeah. I would give you, I'll try to give you the next about one. I'm trying to get into the house. You haven't seen it. I mean, that's our Good luck.
We have other hearings to do.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Well, you still have that pot from still on your shelf?
Yes.
Just a little piece of grass. What was it? With grass thing, one big hole.
Yes.
Still on the shelf?
Some idea.
All right, okay.
Yeah. What was the first look like?
Was round, was that high?
Yeah.
And he's gonna put holes in the all the way around.
What was it, on the shelf behind my desk there?
I think that's.
Up the look.
It's probably been there a year and a half.
Sorry.
So they were drove to them. So it's a junk car.
Which farming is on the top of the bill about the body shop? And he said he had the same idea, right?
I think that was the Saturday.
You're too soft. I don't see anyone here or shoot.
But anyway, we should.
Right, I understand.
Understand.
All right,
All right.
sorry, but we have other hearings.
Oh, can we sit for them?
Yeah, if you want to, quiet.
Yeah, be quiet.
I have 100 questions. Larry, stay late. All right.
I don't know when the person's here for the used car license or the fellow for the, food service thing at High Street.
I would suggest that, since there's nobody here
So we
to,
move on to 140,
I would suggest that you postpone the public hearing for
either of them.
129. I mean, you don't have to postpone anything for, Mr. Yilmaz.
Right.
Because.
He was just coming in.
application. But postpone, 121 Main Street to your July 19th meeting.
That's the problem.
That's the current one, yeah. So he's not, why isn't he here?
I don't know.
It's kind of weird.
All right, so I'm gonna.
Who's called in the application?
No, that's,
Yeah, we don't, just to be clear, we don't have anybody online, through Teams that's supposed to be representing 121 Main Street, correct? If you are here, please unmute yourself and let yourself be known. Hearing none.
Okay. Do you need a motion, sir? Make a motion that we, move the public hearing for Hani Hassan Al at 96 Blair Drive, Holden, Mass. It was 10th of 121 Main Street, in Upton. We move his meeting for a special permit to the next, July meeting,
July 19th.
July 19th.
unanimous order of the board, Ted aye.
Eric Russell, aye. Bill Lambert, aye.
Okay. Continuation of the application on 140 Realty Trust. You guys are up. Good, Jeff.
Great, thank you. Jeff Roloff's outside counsel to the applicant. I think we're in good shape here and hopefully in a position to wrap this hearing up finally. At the last meeting, you asked us to review with the building inspector his feedback on the townhouse styles that were proposed here. Michael actually met with the building inspector on that point, and sounds like he's fine with these townhouse styles as long as they're sprinkled. My client has no problem with that. So
Yeah, Jeff, if I could jump in real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so the question that came up, well, you know, is it, you know, what's a common wall? I mean, there's obviously we're restricted by what is and what is not in our zoning bylaw. And so unfortunately, we don't have a good enough description to support what I'd say is the general consensus of what a townhouse typically is. But so seeing none, I would suggest to the board that you proceed with it as is. It was obviously, as Attorney Phillips just mentioned, it was the building commissioner's suggestion that it still be sprinkled. Townhouses, obviously, it's a 3-unit, combined would otherwise require sprinkles.
Yeah, okay, it's a safety thing, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna try to sprinkle my new house too.
So I accidentally left that out of the conditions, but you should, Jeff, it's my suggestion that the board add that into its conditions of approval, should it approve.
Yeah, I've got no problem with that. I did add it to the findings, by the way, just so it was clear that that was something that we presented. So if you look at your, if you look at finding number 13, where it talks about these unit styles on page 3 of 6, I added the phrase to be equipped with sprinkler systems as directed by the building inspector.
Good, thank you.
So I think given that it's in the proposed findings, you don't need to have a condition on it, but if you want to, that's fine also, either way.
What number was it?
Number in the version I'm looking at, it's finding number 13. And it says per section 300-7.2 of the Upton zoning bylaw, there will be 40 feet between each townhouse building, with each building consisting of 3 units as depicted in the submitted plans. And then I added this phrase to be equipped with sprinkler systems as directed by the building inspector.
Okay, I'll have to add that. I don't think, unfortunately, it didn't carry over on this version that I'm looking at. That's fine. I'll finalize that and make sure it gets included.
Okay, did you, Michael, did you get the language that I added to the special permit criteria?
Yeah, I thought well, with what you just sent, I captured that, and you accepted all changes to it. So I didn't have to make any accept all changes to that document. So it should have carried over. Unless I accidentally clicked on an old one.
So in your, let's just make sure we're on the same page. So in your special permit findings of fact, where you've got the different criteria. So for example, the first criteria, social, economic, or community needs which are served by the proposal. I actually added some language to explain how the project satisfies that particular criteria.
Right. Okay, I see that. So I must have messed up the version.
If you want, I can pull it up on the screen and share it quickly, and we can just go through it. But
yeah,
that'd be a good idea. Thank you.
Okay, just give me 1 second. Sorry, I need to, all right, sorry, give me 1 second here. I can do that. Okay, share screen.
I'm looking at it now. Okay.
Okay,
yeah,
that's fine. I'll just put it on the screen so you can all see it. So here's the decision you're looking at, I believe, that Michael just handed in front of you. And
no, it's
Mike's
a different one. I
got this
unfortunately
earlier.
concealed.
Okay.
So I'm just going to scroll down and show you what I've added, if that's okay.
I just emailed the board this exact thing. So
Okay.
they all have it. I mean, they will have it, but they're not looking at that one right now.
Okay, but on the screen, you can see this, right?
Oh, yeah.
So on
Well,
condition number
Jeff,
13.
Jeff, it might be easier if you, even though you put it up on the screen, if you just tell us which ones have changes that we don't have.
Yeah, that's all I'm going to.
Yes.
So number 13.
Okay.
Number 13 here, I added this language to be equipped with sprinkler systems as directed by the building inspector.
Okay, yeah, I see that. We just got it, Mike. Thank you.
Great.
Okay. On number 17, I added this language and satisfactorily addressed all issues related to the townhouse development raised by the board's peer review engineer, DGT. So that's just confirming that we've addressed their concerns with respect to the townhouse development. I updated paragraph 18 to reflect that the town has already applied for the MassWorks grant.
Yep.
And then just quickly, I mean, this is the heart of your findings. For each of these criteria, I just inserted some reference to the application materials. So maybe it's worth just walking through these quickly. For criteria number 1, social, economic, or community needs served by the proposal. In support of its consideration of this factor, the board has considered that this townhouse development will help address the demand for townhouse multifamily housing in Upton and involves a significant contribution by the applicant towards the town's proposed utility project in Milford Street, which will enhance the development potential of the adjacent priority development area. Number 2, traffic flow and safety, including parking and loading. In support of its consideration of this factor, the board has considered that this townhouse development utilizes 2 proposed access points on Milford Street that provide safe ingress and egress to the development, a roadway configuration that provides safe internal circulation, and 108 parking spaces for the 27 townhouse units, 4 per unit. Number 3, adequacy of utilities and other public services. In support of its consideration of this factor, the board has considered that this townhouse development proposes to connect to the public water and sewer utilities that the town plans to construct in Milford Street. The applicant is proposing a significant contribution towards the cost of that utility project, and the town's DPW supports the connection of this project to these public utilities. Neighborhood character and social structures. In support of its consideration of this factor, the board has considered that this townhouse development proposes building styles and the building configuration that are consistent with the character of the surrounding neighborhood and will present an appealing streetscape within the general business zoning district along Milford Street. Number 5, impacts on cultural, historical, and natural environments. In support of its consideration of this factor, the board has considered that during the public hearing process, the applicant has been responsive to feedback from the Upton Conservation Commission, the Upton Historical Commission, local historic preservation advocate Kathy Taylor, and the Tribal Historic Preservation Officer of the Wampanoag Tribe of Gayhead to redesign this project to provide significant protection to wetland resource areas, important buffer zones, open spaces, and cultural resources within the project site. And then number 6, potential fiscal impact, including impact on town services, tax base, and employment. In support of its consideration of this factor, the board has considered that this project is projected to generate a net tax revenue after school costs of approximately $900,000 annually. In addition to one-time building permit and water sewer connection fees of approximately $1,900,000, the townhouse units will also be built to current building code standards, including installation of sprinkler systems, so will not present an undue burden on public safety services, and the proposed 3-bedroom townhouse styles are not projected to involve significant numbers of school-aged children. And that's it. So those were my small additions, just to add a little context and further support for the findings.
Great. And I just saved it over the whatever version I had in my saved locally to make sure that it's consistent.
Great.
It is. I had seen this version somewhere.
Yeah, I think it was sent out, but for some reason when I went to go save it, I messed up the versions.
Been there, done that. No, we've talked this. I'm pretty. Yeah, we've talked through this for months, so I'm pretty.
I know how I feel. How do you feel about the waivers for the sidewalks in the street?
Well, I had a talk with Michael about that at this stage of the game, that the planning board has consistently always done that, and for us to hold them over the barrel money, that would be
Well, it's not really more money, it's just requiring them to do what the requirements of the town usually say.
I'm sorry, are we talking about adding a sidewalk to the other side of the street? Is that what you're suggesting?
So we're talking about the width of the street being down to 24 and the sidewalk being cut back to 4 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, our objective
Now,
always was try to minimize impervious surfaces where it's not needed. It's not a high traffic situation, so we thought it was appropriate, and DGT didn't really take issue with it either, although they identified it, obviously, as something for you to think about.
Listening in on the planning discussion, they had a long discussion on it. And I kind of got my mind changed on it, that this was something that they have done in the past.
See, the only way that I look at it is that if we're gonna do this, then the planning board needs to change their thing.
Yeah.
So that it reverts to any subdivision being built from a certain time.
Yeah.
We'll put in 24-foot wide street and sidewalks on one side or whatever, you know. Now, Jeff, I know that's kind of late in the process, but we still have no shot of getting any affordables?
No. It's you know what, we sort of dropped those on the plan when we did this redesign. I mean, we made a lot of, as you'll remember, some really significant changes to this project based upon our effort to preserve these cultural resources out here. And by doing that, we gave up a lot of sort of valuable areas of this property where my client feels like it's sort of lost a lot of value by not putting homes up on the hill. And they're okay with that, but they weren't okay with doing that and also then losing more units to designating them as affordable. I think it's just not going to happen. It's too late in the game for them.
Well, see, the problem that the town has is that we do have another project that's coming in, but even with that project, we're still 40 units short from obtaining our 10%. So anything that we can get to try to offset that 40, we're always looking for.
I understand. I totally understand that. I mean, we talked about this issue probably a year ago, and at that point, I think Michael suggested that if the town wants to advocate for those types of requirements, you should really adopt an inclusionary housing bylaw. But short of that,
That's exactly what we said.
No, I mean, I originally remember that it was 8 units, 4 units, no units. So, you know, with your cutting back, the units get dropped down from the initial 8 to 4 to 0, so.
Right.
60. Sorry. I sadly, I think there absolutely should be 25%, but it's not in our zoning laws. And I think by God, we should get them in there.
And we don't.
And we don't. And
But we don't want every unit construction job that's coming into town to be applied for as 40B either.
But
so
it's our fault. It's the town's fault. And we're screwing ourselves and we're shooting ourselves in the foot. And
but we'll have to make adjustments before we get too many more in there. Yeah.
Right. We've got to change our zoning laws.
Yeah.
And I agree with you 100% on this project. We should do this stuff, but it's not we have to follow what our rules are.
It's a difficult needle to thread. You kind of be shooting in the dark. Would you put a condition on an approval to have even 10% affordable requirement for this project? Because I mean, based on what Attorney Roloff said, I wasn't aware because I wasn't here during the redesign and the amount of potential income that they're leaving on the table by not developing certain areas, and we don't have a pro forma to
right, but the 8 initially was not even 10%, but it was something.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think it was also because there was
so my point
there's a housing bonus. They could do a higher density if they did affordable, and because of all the changes, they didn't get the higher density, so therefore they dropped the offer which is understandable.
And my larger point being that you wouldn't know if you're accidentally making the project economically infeasible or not feasible, whatever the terminology is, in order to support an appeal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a difficult one. I wish there was an easy answer because it's obviously a good goal. And
the easy answer is to get it on the town meeting next fall.
We're working on it. I'll begin work with
yeah, we got to do it quickly, and we got to bring it up to the townspeople that it is a dire need.
Fall meeting, concur.
So I would suggest that the board is generally in favor of this project to maybe not go down that route. As you know, I'd mostly be in support of that. It's just right now we don't have. I will be getting a consultant on board to give us a feasibility study on enacting inclusionary zoning. And at that time, we would have a better understanding of what a development like this could support.
Now, how soon would you be doing your thing?
I'd be hoping to have something done by the end of this year, probably within the next couple of months.
Well, we do have a meeting. They usually have they have a special meeting in February too. Sometimes.
Sometimes if there's something that comes up, but that's a.
I just hate to wait till May because we could have 10 projects come in.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, we also don't know if it's going to pass at town meeting floor.
Oh, sure it would.
Yeah. Well.
Anyways, sir, are you ready for a motion?
Yeah.
Eric's our motion guys tonight. He just does it better than me. He's legal. He knows all the.
Is the board going to be approving all the waivers requested? Or do you want to address that separately?
Where are the waivers?
We actually weren't requesting waivers because it was our view that the subdivision requirements that you're talking about aren't applicable in a way that would require us to get waivers from each of those standards. So the way the decision's been drafted is we're just looking for approval of the design as proposed. I don't think waivers are required. From the subdivision.
Was the planning board gonna act on waivers, or because they're just reviewing a special permit and a site plan? Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Because this doesn't involve a subdivision. I mean, there's no subdivision filing that's in front of this board or the planning board. It's going to be, the lots will be created through an A&R process. The roadway designs have been reviewed with the subdivision design standards. Reviewed by DGT as guidance. I don't know if the planning board's going to have to grant waivers or not, but I don't think that they're required. Not for these roadway, not for the subdivision standards that you're talking about.
Right. Yeah, because it's not like you said. It's not through the chair. It's not through. It's not a subdivision application, so we're not granting those waivers. But and I'm not advocating for it. I'm just, this is a weird process, quite honestly, to have two boards kind of collaborate in this way. And Jeff had pointed this out previously, where he thinks it probably was a typo in the part of the bylaw that refers back to the planning board. But yeah, it's strange to have a reference back to subdivision rules and regulations for this process, but then also to defer to the planning board. It seems through the site plan process. So it is unclear as to whether or not waivers should be granted. But I guess I don't mean to comment on it this late in the game. I was just trying to prep the board for their vote. So that's fine with me if we want to forego a formal motion on waivers, and the board just is of the general opinion that that's how it's, what is presented is what you're voting on, right? So it's you're voting on the plan that's been submitted.
Yeah. Right. That's how I viewed it, and I think that'll suffice.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Russell.
All right. I'll move that we approve the application for a special permit pursuant to section 307.2 of the townhouses and garden apartments of the Upton zoning bylaws, conditioned on with the following conditions: that the homeowners association through its HOA rules or covenants explicitly allow for passive and active recreational uses in the designated common open spaces, and that adequate sewerage and water utilities be provided at the site by connection to the utilities that the town intends to construct along Milford Street once those utilities are in place.
I'll second the motion.
I'll make it unanimous vote of the board. Temporary time.
Eric Russell, aye.
Bill Andrews, aye. I'll keep it.
And I would just add, even though that motion is done, that the board accepted the findings as presented by the applicants.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael.
Great. Thank you. Really appreciate all the time that you put into this and your patience with the process, but I think it has turned into a better project. we still have a little work to do in front of the planning board and Concom, but I think we're getting there. Thank you very much.
Okay, Jeff.
Thank you. It's
All right.
been 20 years.
I will just say one thing before I leave. You should get the comprehensive thing to go over.
Yes, sir.
There will be an appeal about the city.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff wants to stick around for that one.
Yeah, I'm out of here. Thank you all.
I would just rather have us do it with conditions than to have the state do it with none. Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the sawmill.
Yeah. I'm not surprised about that. But it's so little land in town that's so commercial industrial. Oh, you okay?
Yeah, no, the chair, it should have been in the other chair. All right, guys,
Thank you.
Do we accept the minutes before you leave?
Oh, yeah.
Can hold off on the minutes.
Yeah, we can hold on.
Well, doesn't he have to vote?
Yeah, no,
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say we can.
no, because if,
Why
Well,
don't
yeah,
we just make a motion to accept the minutes?
Minutes from our last meeting.
I make a second motion.
unanimous vote of the board, Deborah, aye.
Eric Russell,
Building design.
So that's everything, Michael, except for James Road, right?
Correct, yeah.
Unchanged.
Oh, I wanted to discuss rules and regulations for the comprehensive permits, obviously with anticipation of getting new applications for comprehensive permits. You want to stick around for that?
How long did it take you guys for the other one?
You're just basically finalizing
We're
this.
finalizing the decision.
It shouldn't take more than 15 minutes.
All right.
Yeah.
I promise, Dean.
Thank you for sending us the plans for James Road.
Oh, yeah. And so, this is obviously, the public hearing is closed. The board has made its decision. Yep. So I prepared the decision. Obviously, Dean had some input on it, initially. Anyway, and then we got Chris Alphin on, who of BBH Law, who reviewed that decision as well, made some edits and some corrections. I believe that document is final, unless there was anything the board saw.
Just
Yeah.
a couple things. Just one procedurally. When did we close the public hearing?
Last month.
Last month at May 17th.
Okay, so we're right there at the 40 days of deliberations. But we do need to get this filed within 40 days of the close of the public hearing. That means, so, okay, I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that.
We discussed that last meeting.
Okay. I don't know, when I made these edits, I wasn't aware that the public hearing was closed. And so I thought it was going to be able to review my comments. I went over them today. Don't think that there's anything in there that the applicant's going to have a problem with, because what I've added is just really legal mumbo jumbo to really make sure that it gets clapped down and that there isn't any confusion about how this is done.
I didn't see any substantive changes. Please, if you want to go through all your changes, just so we're on the same page.
Yeah, there was just one clause about landscaping that I put in there that I often put in for developments like this, and I don't know if the board or you remember any sort of agreements about landscaping.
Where was it? Can you point it out?
Yeah, so it's condition number other general conditions, and then number 8. So that would be page 13, the top of page 13.
Dean, I'm going to send this to you now because I don't think you have this version.
Okay.
Landscaping shall be maintained in perpetuity by the condominium association, which obligation shall be incorporated in the condominium association documents as applicable, and the declaration of restrictive covenants to be executed by the applicant Dead or deceased plantings shall be replaced as soon as possible in accordance with the growing conditions. Is that the one you're referring to?
Yeah, so I don't know if the board had that discussion or had an opinion that that should be something that should be in there or not. It's obviously up to the board. Unfortunately, because the public hearing is over, we can't really get Dean's input here, which is a strange thing. But do you remember having conversations about landscaping and whether landscaping needed to be part of the plan?
The biggest issue we've been dealing with is runoff. One of the conditions will be that they adapt their plan so that there will be no additional runoff from the site. They've done a very good job controlling the runoff, but there was one single area they needed to improve a little bit on. So we are conditioning that they improve the runoff. Runoff is the issue of the neighborhood. They're just apoplectic about it. I mean, they're just so. This I think is pretty harmless. Most of these condominiums all are pretty well taken care of. Adding this in, I don't think hurts, and I don't think the developer would have a big issue with that.
Yeah,
I would just suggest if that really was not discussed during the public hearing, that I would even if it's standard language, I would suggest removing it. Chris, what do you?
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Condominium associations all work differently. Lots have their own exclusive areas, and then folks can do what they want to do. And there's going to be a master deed and declaration of trust that regulates what kind of landscaping they can do on their exclusive areas. If it's not something that was talked about or at length during the public hearing, I have no problem leaving that condition out. The remaining conditions are really just putting the legal clamp on stormwater regulations and runoff and things like that. So I think what we have here is pretty on point.
All right, so I just deleted 8. Right, that was 8. So 9 becomes 8.
Condition 4 on page 9. The project shall consist of no more than 4 detached family condominium units containing 4 bedroom units. It's supposed to be each. Not the project. It's supposed to contain 4 bedroom units.
Yeah, that was highlighted because that was the other issue that we needed to figure out. Number one, we need to add the final plan set and make sure we're clear about what is the final plan set. And Mike and I just late afternoon figured out the final floor plans and architectural plans. So I just wanted to be clear, and the plans are going to say this, the amount of bedrooms in each unit. I believe it's 4, right? Is that what the floor plans have?
So should that one?
You can answer this.
Yeah.
Is it 4 bedrooms?
You want me to answer? Yeah.
Yeah, you're just answering. You're not giving us input. Is it 4 bedrooms?
Right. Just want to pull up the last set. Yes, it's 4 bedrooms.
Okay. So, yeah, I just wanted to be clear because that's important. We want to know how many bedrooms we're approving. So 4 bedroom units.
4 bedrooms each.
Yeah. I do want to chuckle at on page 9, number 4. Obviously, this has been number 6. Affordable units shall be interspersed evenly throughout the project. I mean, this is cut and paste from something else.
Yeah, well, I
think we can include number 6.
Yeah, no, so I actually want to keep that. I mean, we could reward that. I know it's only 1 unit, so it doesn't make sense. But there may be an instance where we don't want the unit to be in the worst location. And it's ultimately going to be up to DHCD, which is no longer called DHCD anymore. So I can reward that so it makes a little bit more sense. But yeah, it really can be removed as a condition because
DHCD is ultimately going to pick which one is the affordable unit.
And we had a discussion on which unit, there's one that's closer to the street than the others, and we're not gonna let that one be, the affordable one.
Okay, well, I think that we can add that as a condition. It's going to be up to DHCD to make the ultimate decision. So I would suggest wording the decision that, the applicant shall, the affordable unit should not be this unit subject to DHCD's review and approval. So that's how we'll handle that.
That's fine. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So why don't we change that condition to say something along those lines? Unit X shall not be the affordable unit subject to the review and approval of DHCD.
The one closest to the street, I think, and Dean already agreed to this earlier.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, and even Dean doesn't have a say for some strange reason if DHCD wanted to.
With thumbs up. He knows computers better.
I can't say anything, but
that's funny.
Did we get an updated waiver list? So I know there's still, I mean, I haven't had time to go through this in detail, but there's still like a request in here for waiver from the demolition delay. It's my understanding that that's not a historic building, that just doesn't apply. So I'm not sure why they.
Okay, I used the most recent waiver list we had.
Yeah, I mean, if some of them don't apply, it's okay that they're in the decision. We're just, in case it does somehow apply and somebody's misinterpreting what the section or bylaw means, it's fine to keep it in there.
It's a good one. That's all I'm saying.
And Chris, do you want to send me the edits after tonight, and I'll reach out to the board members to have them come in and sign?
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say, that the formatting here needs to be cleaned up a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll make it nice and clean and finalize, as long as everybody's okay with the substance of my changes and the substance of the decision. And then the board at this hearing can say, Chris fixing up the formatting changes and this condition and that condition, we're good to sign, and that's what I'll do.
Great. Is everybody around for the rest of the week?
Yeah. Yeah, no problem. I'll be about 250 feet down.
Chris, it's probably not many changes, but do you think you'd be able to get it to me by the end of this week or next?
I'll just do this tomorrow to get it out of the way.
Okay, great. Thank you.
It's my fault. I got a slow start on it. I'll take care of it tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, some of these are great. Obtain necessary electrical and plumbing permits. Like, like, other than the guy on Westboro Road, everyone else does that. Yeah, I remember talking about trash recycling and the unit. The thing that I'm most concerned about is the water, and these are all still in here just the way we want them. My only concern is that the earth product when it's still in there, it is really tough to build on a small site. And it's not say you can't truck material out.
Yeah.
You know, is that a common one? Because, I mean, I know.
We had discussed that during the decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would just leave it as is now.
Yeah, I'm uncomfortable with where we are. Yeah, I mean, a lot of action points.
I don't have any other comments.
Was there any more changes, Chris, that we haven't discussed?
No. No, this should cover everything and cover your concerns. Like I said, I'll clean it up. Not change anything of substance, but just clean up some things and get it ready to be signed.
Yeah, there was one weird thing on the thing of findings where on page 1, for some reason, Town of Lancaster Board of Appeals.
Oh,
Fresco.
It shows up in the margin.
Main Street shows up in the right-hand side.
In the margin though, right? Not the final document. I don't know how to get rid of it. It doesn't print.
Don't worry.
Really, it doesn't print.
No, when you print when you do the show final version, it doesn't print on the document. It doesn't show up here. But for some reason, it's way off in the margin, like off.
Yeah, good. It's like, all right. So I've done my due diligence and mentioned.
Great, thank you.
Okay, when we sign it, it'll be fine.
I was so astute to make sure that I didn't accidentally leave in something like that, and then I saw that, but I'm like, well, it's not going to show up in the final document, at least.
Word does some weird things sometimes.
Yeah.
Michael, is there anything else that we need to do before I ask for a motion?
Well, I don't think we need a motion, Chris, do we? We just need to see a general consensus.
It's just following, it's good form to just say, the board is authorizing Chris to finalize the decision in a final format that can be signed and filed with the town clerk.
In a motion or just generally?
Yeah, just in a motion. It's always good to just do.
I'm sorry. Somebody wants to say something. It looks so professionally done.
All right, I move that we authorize Attorney Chris Alpin to finalize the decision as presented to us, subject to the decision changes that we've made tonight, and finalize it immediately filed with the town clerk.
I will second that motion. Unanimous vote of the board. Bill Andrews, aye.
Eric Russell, aye.
Bob Hughes, aye. Okay.
Perfect. All right, I got my homework. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Dean.
Thank you, everyone. I really
Bye.
appreciated all this. I knew it took at least a year or so, but I appreciate all the help and look forward to bringing this to fruition. We'll keep you guys posted.
Thank you. Good luck, Steve. Thank you.
Thanks. Take care.
Thanks.
Okay. Welcome back.
There were 4 school-age kids, 2 adults and 2 dogs living in that house, which had 2 bedrooms, a kitchen that was 8 by 10. They moved out because the guy that's going to do the project was building them a house.
Yeah.
So he let them live there while he was building their house. So the house is empty right now.
Huh. Okay.
But talk about a board of health issue.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
All right, Michael, so what are we doing?
Yeah, so I just wanted to just talk generally, and I'm not as prepared as I wanted to be about this discussion, but I mean, so you all have access to the comprehensive permit rules and regulations. So I know you went through that ahead of this one, 27 James Road. So I would just, encourage, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to, study that thing.
Yeah.
Ahead of
timetables. Critical.
Ahead of new potential filings.
Yes.
And so, just because we're, there's going to be a level of scrutiny on this board as a result of that potential application. So we want to be prepared. I'll be in touch with Ted about, he had mentioned possibly going upstairs in not auditorium, the basketball court.
Even though we know that the acoustics is really bad upstairs.
Terrible. But more space.
But instead of going elsewhere,
You don't want to do the new library?
no, it doesn't. The amount of people that we're gonna have, you know, they'll just have to speak up louder.
Yeah.
And whatever.
Well, we could get microphones.
Right.
Yeah, I'll have Chris here set things up and work with
I'm comfortable with that.
Paul Norton, who does cable services to set all that stuff out.
Yeah, so I mean, just, you know, I think that's easier than trying to set up times and places for, you know, hearings, especially if we're gonna have a bunch.
I think we also, I would strongly recommend that we have a cutoff limit. Because as Mr. moved the question, I wanted to move the question about 6 times tonight.
Oh, I know.
I always tell people, one bite at the apple.
Right.
You can.
Yeah, so I mean, I would do that as well, like, so consider a few things. So
And then limit the time.
especially like the first hearing of
It's a vent.
of an application that is yet to be determined, that we're just speaking generally about and not
Right.
specifically. If you're gonna have a large turnout, and sort of kind of like what you did tonight is.
I would think you'd
the
have, you
first-
might have 50 people.
The first meeting, I would suggest just have the public talk. You
Let
know
them
what I mean?
vent.
So have the developer give their presentation.
Yeah.
For however long that lasts, probably like a half hour.
Yeah.
And then, everybody gets an opportunity to talk once.
Right.
And then, once everybody's spoken, then if somebody has something
Right, because
additional.
there will be subsequent hearings.
Yeah.
So if
And
you want
as-
to bring up something afterward.
And really, I say it's really only appropriate to have new comments on any new information. So like, if somebody has something new to share about information that was presented previously, great, that's fine. But generally, comments should be about what was just submitted. If additional documentation is submitted, if changes to a plan have happened, what are the comments relative to those changes?
Yeah, because the same people are gonna get up. I mean, different
6
people are gonna get up and say the same thing.
I mean, I say all this, it's a nearly impossible task.
Right.
But it helps to keep in mind, to just keep things moving along, and so you don't end up going in circles.
Right, 3 hours or
See, in the classroom, we had it down. It's whenever everyone agrees to something, this is the symbol you do.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't have to have 60 kids say the same thing.
Yeah.
You agree, go like this.
Yeah.
Same, you know,
Yeah.
and that really, everyone gets to express themselves, and it makes it shorter and sweeter.
I
I'm
mean,
just,
even tonight they hashed over stuff.
Bill, I would love to make that rule.
yeah, that,
Be
well, as a teacher, I can suggest it.
Yeah.
My wife, who works in the schools, she says to deal with her adult colleagues, she started implementing techniques and rules that she's learned from watching Daniel Tiger.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Just as a side note, I did check with the appraiser's office, and my property is about 450 feet from the potential property. So I am beyond the 300-foot zone.
Right.
And I am able to be a member of the board that adjudicates potential applications.
Okay.
Oh, it'll, unless the state turns them down, you'll be.
You know what? I'm as close as anyone is, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Just as a side note for potential applications, I did mention here, when we did the walkthrough, the fire chief did mention that when they built Hazelton and the Memorial School, both times they ended up with a few more flooded basements down at the bottom of the hill. So I don't know what we can recommend, but
I mean, I would recommend not commenting on that right now.
okay, all right. So, I just want to mention what the fire chief.
Yeah.
All right.
That's fine. We can discuss that when and if we get an application for that. So what was the other thing? Oh, the other thing was cut off of submission of comments and information. So I've been a part of these processes where, it's a really contentious application and neighborhood groups hire their own professionals to review the work of their professionals and our professionals. And so, but then they're submitting things 5 hours before a meeting.
Yeah.
So generally a week in advance, if you're submitting any sort of substantive information.
Right, because we had that problem at 130 South Street.
Yeah.
Where the guy come in and changed the plan the night we were here.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so if that happens, it's like, well, then honestly, the meeting should just be continued until you can have either your peer review or the developer, a chance to review the information that's been presented so they can respond to it, because otherwise.
So just to give you an idea, next to me, a guy tried to develop a piece of land at Swamp. The neighborhood spent $35,000 in legal fees to fight him.
Yeah.
And that was for one house.
Well, that's what I said with the sawmill. I'm sure George would throw money in. Ralph will throw money in. So, I can see it definitely as being a challenge. So,
which is their right to do.
All right.
They want to spend their money. I don't understand. I'm busy, but anyways, and we shouldn't discuss it outside. Actually, we're still in a meeting.
You're still in a meeting.
Yeah.
It's okay. So special.
Do you want to adjourn?
I mean,
yeah. Well, we gotta stop. I don't like talking about anything once we adjourn.
But especially that guy was gonna put in the heavy equipment repair, years ago. I mean, he wanted to bring in excavators and those big dump trucks that they use on the sites and everything else.
Yeah.
So,
Sir, since you're back here, you want a motion to adjourn?
Sure.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Unanimous vote of the board, Ted Briggs, aye.
Bill Andrews, aye.
Russell, aye.
8:15 or so.